So hi everyone, thanks again for joining us, and thank you, Luisa, for speaking. It's great to have you. So, as the founder and owner of LD Human Resources, Luisa serves business owners and executive management teams, equipping them with HR solutions that align with their business objectives, offering both on-site and virtual support. Committed to the highest professional standards and HR best practices, Luisa and her team of highly skilled HR consultants provide leadership coaching, employee training programs, succession planning, labor relations, benefits and total rewards, HR compliance, and much more. Their clients are based in the York region and Toronto and range from professional and financial services to construction, retail, travel and tourism, and nonprofit sectors. LD Human Resources is committed to excellence and linking HR best practices to business objectives, delivering measurable results within changing environments. Thanks again for your presentation today, and good luck.
Thank you so much, Alex. Appreciate you having me here today. And welcome, everyone. Thank you again for joining me for our topic today being post-pandemic recruitment strategies. So as mentioned, we are going to go through a few things today. First, I'll start off with introducing myself a little bit more. As Alex explained, we do support many business owners in achieving their business objectives through their people. So we'll talk a little bit more about what we do, and then we're going to get right into the current candidate market update, sharing a little bit of the insights there, and also discussing, how can we attract top talent, a little bit more about our hybrid workplace environment and the expectations around that, and some key recruitment tips for success before we get into discussing connections and networking. So as I mentioned, my name is Luisa DeJesus, and I am the founder and president of LD Human Resources. And we support small to medium-sized businesses and business owners and leaders in ensuring that they're developing a solid HR foundation in their business so that they can succeed through their people. You'll definitely see the difference and the impact on your bottom line, as your people are your most valuable asset and really will set you apart from your competition. So anything related to the support of HR that we would customize and tailor would really see an improvement in your sales, productivity, organizational culture, and in general, sort of your employees' environment, if you will. So as I mentioned, we provide customized HR solutions, both in-house and so on-site and virtually remote, both so small and medium-sized businesses. And we ensure that, one of the aspects is we ensure your business is compliant, but also more importantly, that we're customizing and tailoring programs so that we're meeting your business objectives through your people. And a number of areas we support on the strategic side: compliance, talent development, performance management, recruitment, onboarding, pretty much all areas of HR in that sense. So enough with the introductions. Let's get right into what you came to hear about today in post-pandemic recruitment strategies. So what is it like in today's candidate marketplace? It's really been quite a whirlwind. The environment or the recruitment market has changed quite a bit, in the sense that there's just certain industries that are at a shortage. So for example, there's been some trades that have been very busy, construction specifically, and in general, I would say in the construction side, there's been such an upload or uptick of individuals attending university in different sort of positions, if you will, coming out of university, that they're different roles. They're not as hands-on and related to trades. So not as many people are getting into the trades in general. So there's already been an overall shortage. Now with COVID, it's been quite busy, as construction has been one of the businesses that have been essential that can continue to operate. So there's others though. There's been marketing, sort of, healthcare, good luck finding additional nurses, if you will, considering what's kind of happened in the pandemic. IT has been, a lot of cybersecurity has been had to put in place, people working now and shifting their business to remote. So in general, there are a number of different reasons and certain industries specific to why there is that talent pool shortage. And then there's other considerations in general with respect to COVID and what we're finding, right? Essentially, people are concerned. There's mental wellness considerations and concerns, perhaps lack of resources for childcare or elder care. Maybe there's been some medical concerns to not allow the individual to go back to work. There's also government funding programs such as CERB, other leaves of absences through EI that are supporting individuals working from home in this uncertain time. So definitely there is a shortage in the market, and those who are continuing to work are probably happy where they are. So, we'll get into the next slide here in terms of, well, what do we do to attract top talent? There's a number of different strategies that you can consider when it comes to recruiting top talent, specific to the industry, the level of role. Maybe you want to try specific job boards, or maybe if does the company have a social media presence? Do they have a website? Everything is shifted online, so you really need to make sure that your presence online exists as well. To perhaps you want to simplify, or perhaps have it more detailed in terms of how you're posting or marketing your position. Essentially, you want to sell the company and the organizational opportunities for growth. There's a lot around diversity and inclusion. That is corporate responsibility is a big thing to people. So how you highlight that is going to be very important as well. I mentioned a little bit of social media platforms. So, the typical job boards people would post on Indeed, ZipRecruiter, certain associations, perhaps industry specific. We are in Certified Human Resources Professional Association for HRPA. So maybe posting on that type of job board, or depending again on your industry. Some people are looking at Facebook even, and LinkedIn, even Kijiji in terms of advertising roles. So there's definitely different platforms that you can market for staff and to attract that top talent. It is hard to get people to attend interviews. So, it's not unheard of to hear of, incentives, a gift card to join, or referral, bring a friend, depending on the type of industry that you're searching for. I was last week in Mont Tremblant with the family, and good luck going for dinner. There were lineups 3 hours out the door because they're short and their kitchen staff. A lot of people have not yet returned to work, perhaps because they're unsafe or feel unsafe. So there's still, in terms of recruiting top talent, is considerations for COVID, right? Like, how are you having individuals attend interviews? Is there safety protocols in place? Have you advertised that? There's also a lot of controversy around vaccination status. Again, I would steer away from that altogether, but essentially you want to ensure that people are safe and can come to your workplace without having those concerns. But most importantly, you want to have that value proposition. What is it that you are offering the candidate? They're evaluating you more than you're evaluating them, right? So you want to make sure you're selling the company, welcome them as a host, and ensure that they're essentially, that you want to sell that they want to come and work for you. So there's a lot of key considerations when we're looking at attracting top talent. Now, on the next slide here, we're going to be talking about the hybrid workplace. So, from an expectation, what is there that candidates are comparing you to, right? I mean, essentially, a lot of individuals have been working from home, and they know that they're capable of doing that. They've been effectively doing that within their organization. So, there is that expectation for flexibility with a work from home and a work in the office model, both. So consider that to be a competitive sort of advantage or consideration when you're looking at attracting top talent. Also, we want to ensure that we're promoting that work-life balance and flexibility. A lot of people have taken time to reflect and have that COVID clarity, we call it, right? Reevaluating that what their priorities are, and gone are the days for some of dedicating their life to work. and their employer, right? It's more of having that healthy work-life balance that's, going to really have the flexibility in your workplace culture. It's still going to drive your employees to work hard because they're appreciating that opportunity to work in a high capacity environment. What are your benefit offerings? Do you have a total rewards package? Do you have early Fridays, or perhaps other variable compensation beside your base? Is there other employee perks? Do you have a social committee or events, even though they're virtual maybe right now? What types of sick day policies or vacation programs do you have in place? When we look at benefits as well, as the benefits that you have in place effective for your current dynamic in your workplace? Does it have the right demographic considerations when you're putting those programs together for your staff? And as I mentioned, the safety assurances. So coming into the workplace on a day-to-day, do you have physical distancing? What do you have in terms of overall wellness programs, emergency time off, mental wellness programs? Are you educating your staff around these pieces? Do you have an employee assistance plan that might support anxieties as we're transitioning back to work? And again, as I mentioned, there is concerns around vaccine status. There's sensitivity around discussing it, definitely, and rightfully so. Some people are not physically able to get their vaccine, and it's quite a full pot topic. At the end of the day, we need to consider people's privacy and human rights, and make sure that everyone just feels safe in general and that we're being respectful. And then how are you going to onboard this new talent, right? People have anxiety sometimes about just learning and being in a new environment or joining a new relationship remotely. So if that's the case, how is it that you're going to engage that team member? Do they have an onboarding buddy? Do you have resources that can kind of learn in advance? Do you have scheduled check-ins for them? And you want to integrate them in the existing workplace culture. The other pieces for those who are going into the workplace, again, what do you have in place that's going to effectively make them feel comfortable with our ongoing COVID environment, and just in general in terms of learning their new role in their environment? So a lot of considerations when we look at sort of the hybrid work environment and next steps. Now, what are going to be our key recruitment tips for success? Again, you want to keep that momentum going when it comes to your candidates and engaging them, get them excited about the company, about the job. Make sure that you're keeping that process transparent and simple, right? Letting them know what's going on, when to expect to hear back from you, how many other candidates you're considering. You want to be authentic and reflect the company culture. Make sure you're being honest, sincere. And, I always say, consider fit and technical expertise combined for the overall contribution to the organization. We can often train specific technical capabilities. You really can't train fit. It's almost like any relationship. It either, clicks or it really doesn't. So it's very important to ensure that individual that you've selected to join your organization is a real extension of what you've already had to enhance your company culture. So, some do's and don'ts, right? You want to make sure that you're having a plan, that you've reviewed the resume in advance. You've got a set of questions, asking relevant questions, same ones to every candidate, and make sure you're taking notes. Be engaged. Don't be distracted by your cell phone, by text messages, by maybe your dog, which I have here happens to be quiet today. Try to really be focused, even though sometimes it can be a little bit distracting depending on your environment. Don't engage in personal conversation. Let's not start talking about questions that could be perceived as discriminatory around age, gender, the typical grounds, and also about vaccine statuses, I think now. And don't dominate the airtime, right? You're there to listen, engage. You want to ensure that you're being professional and try not to react. Keep that poker face on as you're evaluating, so that you're not, being or exhibiting any kind of judgment in that sense. Body language and tone is so important. Ensure that you are dressed to impress, even though you may not be physically present. You're going to be physically present on the camera, perhaps. Make sure you have your camera on, and consider that your tone is going to really be what's received in that sense. 65% of communication is nonverbal. So make sure that you're paying attention to your body language, smiling, making the person feel welcome. Again, keeping that in mind. And I always find that it's so important to be timely. Even right now, there's a lot of vacations happening. I mean, finally, we're able to go out and explore and do different things, given the restrictions that we've had with COVID. So, you want to make sure that you're letting people know if you're not going to be able to get back to them for whatever personal circumstance, right? They're applying for work in general. So they're not just applying to work for you. You want to make sure you keep that momentum going, making sure that that you're responsive, because our current climate, there is a shortage, right? So if you're not responding sometimes in the same day, well, that candidate's going to be moving on and maybe has already been contacted by someone else. So important that we're keeping that in check and that we're being honest and timely in responding to candidates, whether we're interested in pursuing them or not. Having that courtesy of letting them know where they stand and closing the loop is very, very important. So in terms of our connections and networking, this is a very important piece, I would say, in general, when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to attracting top talent. Your personal network is worth an abundance, and your relationships that you've built, use them when you're searching for your talent. Definitely, sometimes it's who you know to share the excitement, whether they're sharing on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Please feel free to connect with me. I'd be happy to share to help you attract your top talent. And that is pretty much all I have for today, but be happy to answer any questions or comments that there may be in the audience today. And feel free, yes, to put any questions that you have in the chat. So we do have a question that's come in. What would you say is the greatest barrier for recruitment in this post-COVID world? I would say your value proposition. People want to know why they should work for you. So attracting that talent, again, ensuring that you're involved in your community, that really you have a great place to work. As I mentioned, people are considering their priorities. So work, as much as we spend more time at work as a full-time employee than we do at home, it's also balancing. So you want to make sure that they're extending those values that they have as an individual into your workplace. So making it a welcome family in that sense and a very nice community of work is going to be key to attract that top talent. Thanks for your question. Any other questions today? Okay, well, I think that's it for today. If you do have any questions, please do feel free to reach out to me. Oh, I do have another question that's coming. I hear you host a show. I do. Every week I talk about HR questions in a no nonsense, no fluff kind of way. So you can find us on LinkedIn. Please feel free to DM any questions you have. I'll be sure to answer them on the show. And then every month we also host expert guests that will speak to the types of information that you're looking for. It's going to be experts on the topics around whatever HR questions. We do have monthly sort of themes, if you will. This month is around work-life balance, and I do have a show coming up with Catherine Tanaka, who is a coach, if you will. And so she's going to speak about work-life balance along with the rest of the week, every Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock. Tune in.
Hi, Luisa. I just wanted to jump on and say thanks for your presentation. It was really great. So I know you had your contact info and stuff up, or you still do as well. So that's great. I just had maybe a final question to close it out. What would you say is the key takeaway from your presentation? Maybe, one or two things, or.
Yeah, I would say the key takeaway would be to ensure that you have a value proposition and that you're present online as an organization so that you can share that. And most importantly, make sure that you're being engaged and fair and timely in your responsive. You want to customize. Every recruit is going to be different. It's going to have a different strategy. It's going to need to do a little bit of homework in terms of how to target that top talent. And I think you need to be flexible in terms of one size won't really fit all, but be aware of the market. It's quite different.
Sorry about that, I was muted there. But yeah, I just want to say thanks for sharing. That's some great information and great advice as well. Yeah, so just to let everyone know, so we have about 10 minutes before our next segment. So that's the main stage panel. So feel free to visit the networking area of the event if you want to make some new connections. And then we'll see you at 3:30 for the panel. Thanks again, Luisa. It was really great.
Thank you, guys. Thanks so much for joining. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.